I purchased this property with the anticipation of access through 700s. And then the school closes it, and now we have, you said that it was a public road, and now it's shut down. And I'm just wondering if we...
Is it a concern for the residents that would live there that students that go to that school would be cutting through their neighborhood to get to the school rather than going all the way around the main street?
That's another concern.
As proposed to be built as a public street.
Okay.
It's a public street.
It's a public street with a dead end.
That's a different question.
That's what we're
It's
discussing.
an interesting way, but my point is, I mean, it's always been planned to go to volunteer. So.
Commissioner Tang, I've been skipping you.
Were you done?
Oh, no. Okay.
Again, my thought is, if we was concerned about 700 North, is now the time to say something about it, or because of the phasing, we could look at it 5 years from now and say 700 North's a mess, fix it. That's my question.
We can deal with it later.
700 South.
Yeah, we blew it when Landmark High was built. If we wanted that to be a public street to connect from Volunteer over to Main Street, someplace in there.
Okay.
That did not happen. And that would have been the way to have had it happen. So I think that if that's the concern, it's a missed opportunity. So we did not do that. You've got a public street here, you've got Nebo School District property here, and Nebo owns this separate parcel here. It's not a public street all the way through.
But if you took 7 South and went straight...
So you're saying come through here?
Yes. I mean, somebody would have to give up some ground.
Wait,
In some concerns with that regard, UDOT's access spacing and controls, especially with a road with that volume, their spacing signals are about 660 feet, access is 350 and minimum. Looking at the spacing with this road coming in, the access here, and the signal there, you couldn't have a full movement access for a signal there, which going onto a road with 30 or 40,000 cars today, let alone the future,
Yeah.
they would have serious concerns.
So the city sees that suggestion of 7 South going to Main Street as a bad.
From a traffic perspective, UDOT is going to say that's going to create conflicts and problems on Main Street.
Okay.
Unless it's signalized, and I think it'd be a
And the
stretch to
signal
get
spacing would be
a signal there.
Okay.
So I think the goal really should be to try to direct traffic to the signalized intersection. And if there's another route that people can use, and of course we can go back to the west as well, but primarily I think we want to try to encourage people to use that signalized.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Tracy. She's looking at me. My turn.
So I don't know if I missed out on a discussion, but I read all the DRC notes, and I noticed it was mentioned that there'd be a commissioner concerned about why is this the best place for this, and I haven't had an answer to that. And so can you pull up the other visual of the plant, the green trees and everything like that? I mean, this looks like a beautiful idea. It is a great, well thought, well planned development. And I hope that at some point we get that housing inventory so that we can determine how many more of these type of developments we need. Because I feel like we have approved quite a few. But if you go back to the other visual now, and if you look back out just a little bit, I look at this area, the ballpark's on one side, 2 schools, a church, another ballpark, the rodeo grounds, and I just wonder, is that the place for this? I don't know. I'm not saying that I'm the expert. I just haven't yet heard the answer to why this is the best place. And if that discussion took place, I missed it. And so I don't know if staff can address that or the commission can enlighten me, but that's what my question is.
I think I have had the same question, and I don't know that it's ever really been, I don't know if there's an answer for it.
There's an answer.
It's available.
I mean,
it's
we've talked about this. We've talked about it more than once. And I'm a little bit worried about sounding like I'm a cheerleader for the development here. And that is not my intention at all. But in 2005, we started the process of looking at land uses in our general plan in the city and places where it might be appropriate to locate different types of land uses. The first thing that we look at from a land use planning perspective is our transportation system. So back when we started that process, by the time we got into it, it was more like 2007 when we really started looking at updating our general plan, process that took a few years. We started looking at intersections in town. And intersections that would be signalized, places where you have a lot of things coming together. And that's where you put land uses that generate in one way or another a lot of intensity. Your most intense land uses and intensity can be measured by noise, traffic, just people, jobs, activity, lots of different things like that. But your fundamental starting point is your transportation system. That's why we have what's going on the north end of the city happening there with Candy Creek. You've got I-15, you've got 6, boom. Lots of people, easy access, great access, visibility. And you have commercial uses there, non-residential uses. And just maybe it's best to use that as an example rather than talking specifically about this, but you have that intense activity center. So from a planning perspective, then we start to talk about, well, what do you do next? What do you do around it? Because generally, uses that don't generate a lot of intensity have some type of conflict or issue with being next to uses that do, sort of inherently. It's not always the case. Sometimes they're complementary, but occasionally you have some concerns. So you try to come up with some type of a middle ground. We talk about transition. We sometimes use buffer word. And in the case of kind of our planning effort on the north end of the city, where you've got a lot of things happening north of 10th North. You know what I mean? Meters, Nebo Credit Union, everything up there, Macy's, Costco, all of that. We've got a couple of blocks to the south of it where we recognize that it just fundamentally didn't seem to make a lot of sense to plan for different land uses that are going to be very low intensity. So try to stay on that theme. For example, we don't want to put third or quarter acre lots or to encourage a developer maybe to redevelop blocks south of there with that type of development. But at the same time, we didn't know exactly what made the most sense. So we designated those blocks for potentially a combination of different uses, or a designation that would allow for somebody to pick and choose from a palette of different land uses, such that the uses that would get built, let's maybe say from 10th North down to 8th North, there's a couple of blocks there, they help create kind of a transition from that area where you've got thousands and thousands of trips per day, big bright lights and parking lots, delivery trucks, all of the things that go with that, into single-family detached neighborhoods below 8th North. And just fundamentally looking at, again, major transportation corridors, intersections, and that type of a thing. Our land use planning starts with a look that's that simple. And largely, that's what we've done here with this intersection. We have some very intense land uses. You've got some just flat out obnoxious land uses. Industrial uses that are neighbors to this property. We've got transportation corridors that are sizable and significant. You've got non-residential uses next door. From a planning perspective, we did not look at this property and say, this is an appropriate place for some of those lower intensity types of uses. I don't want to be contradictory, I'm not trying to do that, but rather than to say that because there's a school and a park and different things like that, trails in close proximity to this location, rather than to say that those components make this less appropriate for a high-density residential development, our perspective has been the opposite. It's been to say that because you've got great access to those community amenities, those facilities, this is an appropriate place for some kind of more intense land use. If you're going to have higher density housing someplace in the community, generally you want to, so this is just land use planning 101, generally you would want to put those uses in close proximity to those types of community amenities, to activity centers, and ideally they'd be close to shopping, schools, and all different types of things like that. And that's for a lot of reasons, including to preserve neighborhoods elsewhere in the community, so you're not dispersing traffic out as broadly through the community. You are helping to concentrate it. Maybe you're eliminating some vehicle trips and different things like that. So I just don't want anybody to get the wrong idea about the level of thought that we put into this. And I'm not saying by any means that we always get it right, but this concept and idea has not just sort of happened without us collectively making some.
But over the years, we've had multiple ideas for this property.
Every proposal that we've received for this property has been to put townhomes on it. Every one.
And that you've received. I'm not receiving what you received from the developer. I'm receiving what we've discussed as a group, or as we've done zoning, as we've done general plan. We've even talked about, parks. We discussed whether we were going to go into reach out to the Park and Recreation one time to see if they have plans for that property, if the city wanted to acquire it for additions to Park and Recreation. We talked about mixed use and some other areas there. So it's, yes, maybe what you've received from the developer, but we've discussed as a group different ideas.
And just to be clear about my personal train of thought for this property, again, when we're talking about that palette of, kind of those transitional land uses that help create a functional neighborly situation between a trucking yard and a park and church and different things like that, it doesn't need to be townhomes. I mean, professional office uses are great for that same kind of thing. Businesses where employees go home at 5 o'clock, you have diminutive lighting, and not a lot of noise after hours. Those can be great neighbors for single family neighborhoods next door, and other things as well. So it's not just townhomes, but relative to the type of use and that level of intensity, townhomes kind of fit in with that same genre, uses that same kind of palette. So I agree completely. There's more than one way to skin the cat, but all we've seen are this.
Are there any other questions from the commission for staff or amongst each other? Is there anybody that would like to make a motion on this proposal for a zoning change and also preliminary plat? Let's go ahead and do them as separate.
Dave, I had one question, sorry, I haven't read it, but phase, on the conditions from DRC, it indicated completing the road frontage with phase 3. You said phase 1. I just want to make sure that we're clear on that.
Thank you. I had understood phase 1, but I wasn't. Corey knows better than I do.
It's staged with each third of the development.
So, the concern was, and this is a phasing plan, and essentially the road will get widened in phases. In other words, phase 1 will widen the portion there. The concern the DRC had was having multiple points where we widen 40 feet and narrow that quick and widen. With phase 3, we wanted the entire length across here widened to avoid those chunks. And the same thing here, we get into phase 5 where we're essentially completing that park. So we're trying to
see that. Okay.
We're trying rather to do 6 chunks of widening that road, break it down to 2 or 3, so it works better for traffic.
Okay, thank you.
I would entertain a motion.
Speak louder, gents.
I don't have an iPad with me, and
I've got this agenda.
yeah. And that's
Not the staff.
Well, since nobody on the commission is talking or willing to make a motion, I, as a chairman, will go ahead and make a motion. I don't know if my teammates here, fellow commissioners, are in agreement with me, so we'll see if we have a second. But I make a motion that we do not approve the zone change from to high density. I do not feel it's the right area for high. I would entertain a motion for medium density, but I just feel that there's other opportunities in this area. I do appreciate the plan. I like the design. I like the color, but I'm not a fan of high density in the area. And so my motion is to deny the request to change the zone to high density.
I'll second the motion.
I have a first and I have a second. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Wilkinson.
Oh, I'm lost. Turn on this thing. I'm not sure. I'd probably vote nay.
We have a nay by Commissioner Wilkinson.
Aye.
We have an aye, a nay, a nay. That's you, Tanner.
So, nay
Nay means you're
not agreeing with you.
Nay means you're going against the project. I says no, I guess
Nay
nay.
is going against your motion.
Nay is going against me because I made the motion of nay,
Right,
but yes.
I say nay.
You say nay? Okay.
Well, I want to make sure I'm going to put some.
If you say aye, you're in agreement with me and Tracy.
So I'm a nay also.
Okay. So let the record reflect that there are split votes, 3 nays and 3 ayes. And we will, it will now go to City Council and let them make the decision because we are a split. We're a recommended body anyways, like you mentioned. And so great points from you as a group and good discussion among the commissioners. We're not always in agreement, that's why there's 6 of us, right? So we'll go from there. Is it, I've returned to my legal here, can we go as a split or do I have to make the?
No, you can't go with a split.
We can go as a split? I didn't know if, I knew that there's sometimes where I had to make the deciding vote, so.
I have
No?
any way to get around the split.
Okay, but I was 6, I didn't know if I just needed to make that the final decision, so. The recommendation then will go to City Council that we do not approve the.
Brad, is there a chance to have any more discussion or another vote on a motion
In regards to what?
in regards to the project?
Well, there's no reason to address the plat because the plat is based on high density, so if we deny that.
I don't think necessarily it's appropriate to assume that the commission affirmatively wants to approve the zone change unless there's a motion made to that effect.
Say that again, commission, or you're talking council?
You, I mean, just relative to your recommendation, the fact that that motion failed, again, that's not necessarily an affirmative action on the zone change itself. We do have the preliminary plat also on your agenda.
But it's based
you
on
can handle it a
high
few different ways. I just want to understand clearly to consider that. I think you would need to make a recommendation to approve the zone change, and then consider with a separate motion the proposed preliminary plat. Or
I already
maybe
did a
just
separate
leave it as
motion.
is, and I can do my best to explain to the city council that it's just, it's basically going to them without a recommendation on either.
That was, that was kind of what I just want to make a couple comments with, I was going to make the motion to approve the zone change, but I wanted to make the comment so that city council knows what, at least what I felt, and that is, when we looked at the map that showed all this area over here, you basically had First South coming along here, a skinny little road, and we had some of these same concerns when we developed this area here. And First South is a very busy road. If you ask most people on First South, they say, I don't like, it's too busy, it's not wide enough, and all that is true. I just want to point out, and Brad, you actually mentioned this, as the development moves along, it gives the city opportunity to develop its roads, get signals. It took us a while to get this traffic light down here, and this will be a phase thing. And I hope I don't come across as discounting the concerns of the group. I really don't mean to do that. But I just believe that our staff is taking into account the anticipated impact, the volume of people and so forth. And like Dave Anderson said, if you're going to have high density, have it close to a street. Now this is a busy street already, yes, we have issues that we'll have to, but if we have more impact, we have better opportunity to address these issues than if we have less volume. And I would recommend that we approve the zone change, but that we recommend to the city council that these concerns be addressed with the phasing, the widening of the street at appropriate times, the 700 South access issue that we've discussed, and anyway, that would have been my motion with those recommendations to approve the zone change.
Okay. Well, I think for us, split vote, we did go through the process of denying it with them, so I think that they can listen to your minutes and hear that. Mine are not necessarily traffic related as much as the inventory of high density in the area. I think a lot of your concerns are in relation to the traffic. To me, it's more of an inventory of saturation of that style in that area, more than it is traffic. Okay, so I think we're looking at it differently. So I think that the best would be for you to talk to the council that we have no decision.
We're just talking that. Sounds like what we're hearing.
Okay, and there's no reason for us to even address the plat because it's based on a high density.
That's a no decision because.
So it's no decision.
The plat depends on the zone change.
Because it doesn't support the
Because
zone change.
otherwise, the plat cannot go through because it does not meet the zoning requirements.
And once you approve the zone change, then they can do whatever because it meets the intent.
It's a no recommendation versus.
The council may appreciate your comments on that.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to not discount what Commissioner Nelson said. His comments are spot on. I just think we're looking at it differently. And so I think that, Angie, if you'll make the record known that there was different discussions. And is there anybody else that would like to add to those comments besides Commissioner Nelson so that the commission or the city council has all of our input other than our other discussions?
I would like to. For me, one of the challenges that I have, and I'm not an opponent of density. Just that's first and foremost. I guess as I kept listening to the discussions and such, I felt like there could be a better solution for the way it's laid out in terms of maybe transitioning better the density closer to Main Street and then transitioning so it's less dense as you get into the development. So that's, and there's kind of a natural break here where it necks down. And so I don't know if it makes sense to
To break up
to
roads?
break up, maybe this becomes the highest. It was kind of like, Dave, we've done this with the lot sizes, where as long as the average lot size, and I don't know if that applies to this possibility here or not, but the average lot size doesn't exceed the zoning allowable, then it's approved. You may have some lots that are bigger, some lots that are smaller. And so is it the same kind of process where, you know, this is heavier density, medium density, and lighter density, and I don't know, you know, define that however you'd like to, I guess, but, because I know for me, high density means something totally different than somebody else, so. That's the comments I'd like to make.
Can I just make a comment as well? My concern is that the area that we're talking about in Spanish Fork is one of the keystone areas of our community. The ballparks, the rodeo, doesn't matter who you are, what sport you play, or how much you appreciate those things. They are noticed not just statewide, but on a national level. And I don't particularly like the field sitting there doing nothing, but I think this is a huge decision to make for that specific area in our community. And what is proposed today is just not what I'm in favor of. And some of these ideas that have been shared, we could continue to develop the thoughts of what could happen, but I think that's just a primary area of our community that we need to be really careful with that decision.
Very well spoken, I agree. And so it might be a situation where you go to the city council and they might override us and approve it or just not. If not, you know, we could go back and re-entertain some different type of discussions, but I think that in the correct configuration is just something that we are not in favor of. And I'll say aye, because I know that we have others that are not feeling that way. Okay. All right, so if there's not any other comments from the commission in regards to Parkview Townhomes, I will go ahead and transition to Eagle Nest. Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment for the record in regards to Parkview? Okay.
People are probably interested. This likely will go to the city council 2 weeks from last night. I think it's the 16th. That'll be the third Tuesday in June, whatever day that is.
All right, I'll go ahead and transition now to a discussion with Eagle Nest and let Mr. Thomas address this for Eagle Nest.
This one is zoned R19. All of the lots that are proposed meet our standards for subdivisions in the R19 zone. I wasn't involved with the project that led to this street being stubbed here. It wasn't done likewise up here in any fashion when this road was built. But it looks like somebody gave some thought in the past to the idea that the interior of this block could be developed as is proposed tonight. So total of 9 lots being accessed onto what would be this new street here, a 10th access over on the existing public street to the west. We don't have very many easy ones left in town. This is probably one of the easier ones, so it's easy for staff to recommend that the proposed, this is a standard subdivision be approved.
I didn't even look. Is this public hearing?
No.
No. Any questions for the commission or staff? Any questions amongst each other?
Has there been feedback from the people that live next by about the proposal? Do we know?
I had neighborhood meetings, so I don't know.
Oh, you did?
I know there's been concerns with just the comments were that, you know, people they're used to that field being there and using it, but I don't know what, I mean, it is, I think most of them understand that eventually they knew it would come. It's just, it is what it is.
Is that right? Is that what?
Yeah, I didn't have any opposition at all. Just answered questions and a good support. I mean, The Allens were there, we cooperated with the Allens. Should I come up and, I can do that after?
You gotta be on.
Yeah, go ahead, come to the pulpit.
Hopefully this is easy and you guys are sufficiently worn down. No, so
You like going last, what you're saying?
Strategically put this in.
We were gonna,
I was mad that
we were gonna end this
but
20
I'm
minutes
not mad
ago.
anymore.
You have 2 minutes.
This will be quick. Like I said, it's pretty standard. I did not have, we had Mills and Olson were there, Allens were there, almost every couple of the homes along here, came to the neighborhood meeting, just answering questions. We've cooperated with the Allens. They're the ones that developed the other lots and that stub road. John Allen with the school district lives right there, yep. And then Abe lives that one there, yep, and that's his barn. I think some of those lots will go to his kids, other kids can own those. But we went ahead and instead of stopping it, we're just kind of cooperating and I'll develop the road. We traded a little bit of land to do that, just to make sure it all connects up and make it easy. We will take the sewer. They had scheduled for the sewer to go this way, then it would have been either pumping basements or slab on grade. I'm going the other way, and everything will be full basements with the sewer going down to the lower road. The only thing that came up with the school district, they represented there also. There's, hopefully this goes through, and I can get. I'd like to get the sewer in before school starts. Whether that happens or not, it should, but unless we run into a
That's a
sign.
busy street there.
Yeah,
School.
and they were talking about the other elementary.
Yeah.
I know that street well from other developments over on the other side, so I know what it's like to be there with moms. It's not fun. And ALA can be worse.
Any questions for the applicant?
Is the triangle piece on 600 South included, or what's the deal on that?
That's
One of the Mills is.
yeah, Mills. That I don't know when that deed and how why it was fenced that way. Mills. That's the original. This is the Toronto ground, I guess. That's the original Toronto home that Mills bought quite a few years ago. The Olson is a Toronto, a kid, a child. I don't know all the whole history there.
The 2 daughters.
So a lot of this stuff was deeded prior to, and even though the fence is like it is, it's deeded up to where that road is. So, everything's kind of, there's no extra excess ground that's not already accounted for. And he's planning on moving his fence, and he's asked that. He was one of the guys asking a lot of questions as far as that goes. One of the things too, I met with this Olson's, chatted with him. We'd like to make sure we get, and I think that they talk about the city. A lot of times we'll present half on continuing the sidewalk, because that'd be the only section of sidewalk is that one home, which is Olson's home there in the middle. So everything will connect up, sidewalk will go all the way up and down, curb and gutter, which would be great. Power is the old system power, where things were on the back. These homes, a lot of these homes are fed from the back, and some power poles, those will be removed. These 3 existing homes will be rehooked up with underground power, so we kind of solve that issue also. So power's on board also. It DRC went well, and so did the neighborhood meeting, so it should be pretty simple. Other than that,
You're hoping.
we'll get you guys home. Never know. I mean,
A little
I've been surprised.
DRC was simple, let you guys get home.
Yeah.
Now we're just gonna surprise you.
Dang it.
All right.
Does anybody crowd on it?
No,
It's not a public hearing, I turned them off.
Can I make a motion?
Go for
I'd
it.
like to make a motion that we recommend approval of the Eagle Nest preliminary plat based on 2 conditions outlined in the DRC, that the applicant meet the city's current development standards, and that the applicant modify the LID on the west side of the road at the north entrance of the development, and that the developer put in it, and landscape in the park strip.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. We'll do a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Wilkins.
Aye.
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 Let the record state that there are no nays. I will make a motion to close this meeting.
I'll second.
There's nothing.
What do you vote?
Huh? Do you have something else you want to do? I make a motion to close the meeting.
I'll second. Oh, you already seconded.
We have a second, and this meeting is officially closed.